Okay, I'm going to get started. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Has anyone got a job yet? That means that you're behind the last cohort. Someone had already got a job before we even started. Well done then. Or maybe it was a cohort before. Anyway, I'm not keeping tabs. This is what we're doing today, obviously, by the fact that it says Monday at the top. The essential way that this works, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm imagining you're all geniuses, so I'm hoping that you've all figured this out. The bit that says talk, that's where I talk. The bit that says do, that's where you do. So I'm going to talk about telling your career story, and then you're going to write it immediately afterwards. And then I'm going to talk about your GitHub CV, and then you're going to make one. And then I'm going to talk about the kind of online profiling stuff, and then you're going to work on the GitHub. And then all of the afternoon is entirely up to you what you do. But I really recommend you carry on with the stuff that you're doing this morning. The reason why is because generally, in terms of kind of the whole hiring week thing, is basically you don't have to do any of it. You don't have to do it the way that I say to do it, because I'm not necessarily right. There's a lot of different interpretations about how you do all of this stuff. But if you don't do it the way that I say, you're going to hear me say it a lot. And the reason why I'm saying it is not because I pulled it out of my arse, it's because it works over and over again. I would also love to have the debate with you around whether it's the right way of doing it, but let's try and keep that out of these sessions because I want to keep these punchy. So I'm Will. My background is unsurprisingly in recruitment, but specifically in startup recruitment, most specifically in tech startup recruitment. So a lot of the content, apart from kind of the morning of Tuesday and like the early morning of Tuesday and most of Wednesday, all of the rest of the content is applicable to any entry-level job. The stuff that's tech specific, we'll be getting into, so Tansaku will do the whole of Wednesday morning about tech tests. Then every Wednesday evening, we have a workshop where we do more of this content and more employers come in. So that this will kind of be ongoing. But really the purpose of this week is, what used to happen was this week you'd still be doing your final projects. Then you'd finish, you'd run off out into the real world, and we'd be like, oh, we've got all this expertise and all this great stuff that helps you get jobs. And you go, yeah, but I'm in the pub. Sorry. And so this is a week's worth of blah. This is all the stuff we know about getting a job as a junior developer, very specifically getting a job as a junior developer. How many of you have had a job before? Okay, how many of you have had more than 5 jobs? Awesome. So that means that at some point, 1 or 2 of you have done a job application. So there will be a lot of content this week that will be stuff you already know. I apologize, I'm just going to assume that you all don't know any of it. That's the easiest way of delivering the content. But also bear in mind the fact that it might possibly have been a while since any of you applied for an entry-level job. So quite a lot of this content is geared towards entry-level jobs, particularly entry-level jobs in software. What was next? Oh yeah, so we've got lots of written content, which no one ever reads. We wrote it for a reason. Please read it because it's useful to you, and it will be useful to you. For example, let's have a look at this, if I can bring it up. Yeah. In there, we have such brilliant things as a list of interview questions. Please don't read it. Please don't read the list of interview questions, prepare answers, and then turn up an interview with pat answers. But do read it with the idea of what sort of questions might I be asked. And then practice with your friends and say, hey, I'm going to throw a question at you. Don't worry, by the way, I'm going to make you do that anyway. So that's what Tuesday's all about. Later on, we have things like keeping it fun.
which is an awfully named resource, which talks all about all the kind of cool stuff you can do, like the events you can go to and the things you should read and the app the Chrome extension that you should use to keep you updated, and because people like people who know stuff and are enthusiastic about it. And a lot of the stuff in here will disagree with the stuff that I say, because I didn't write it. It was written before and I haven't got around to fixing it yet. Take both as real and correct. And if you have to make a decision, make it yourself, because you're adults, you're lovely people, quite smart, I've been told anyway. And if you really can't figure it out, then that's what I'm here for, is to be asked and to be bothered. And do bother me, even though I will keep saying, oh, I'm really busy, I'm so sorry. Please do bother me, because that's what I'm here for. I am here to help you get a job, and I'm super weird because I actually like doing that. I like recruitment, I like job applications and interviews and all of that cruddy process and all of that stuff. And I like the idea that you are now at the beginning of something and I get to help, even in the slightest way, you achieving what it is that you set out to achieve. I want to help, I am here to help, but I will, because I am busy, overworked, the only person on the careers team, and it should really be a 3-person job. What I won't be doing a lot of is coming and getting you and helping you. You have to come and get the help from me. And I recommend overall, generally, that your default position should be in this building, because that's where all the help is. So there are 3 ways to get a job. In this particular situation, there are 3 ways to get a job. There's through me, through Makers Academy. There's by yourself, and there's through recruitment agency. Getting a job through me means that you are going to be interviewing with companies who understand what the hell Makers Academy is, what you can do, what you can't do, what's unique and interesting and special about you as opposed to other junior developers. Getting a job through a recruiter, usually, about 95% of the time, means that your LinkedIn profile has been keyword matched with the job description. And they want you to get a £35,000 a year job because they make money out of it. I want you to get a £35,000 a year job because then you've got enough money to live, be happy. I couldn't give a shit whether it's £36,000 or £35,000 because I don't earn a commission. What I care about is whether you're happy. Now, the only way that Makers Academy stays alive is that we make a fee on that. But what comes first is you being happy and you having a job that you love. And what comes second is the fee. So most of the time, not most of the time, a lot of the time, I will waive the fee in order for you to get a job. Because some people just go, oh, we run out of chairs. So yeah, that's one way. Recruitment agents. Now that you have technical skills on your LinkedIn or generally on your kind of profiles and everything, you will be contacted by recruiters all of the time. If you're not contacted by recruiters all of the time, you should probably do a better job of updating your online profiles because it means that you're not visible. The problem with that is that you hate it. It's horrible. Because they're pushy immoral most of the time, so there are exceptions. My recommendation, and as with all of the content this week, you don't have to listen to me. My recommendation is that, especially now at the beginning, you ignore recruiters. Because what recruiters are very, very good at is putting you into situations that they don't understand. And we have the expertise, etc. Then there's also getting a job by yourself. Getting a job by yourself. If all of you got a job by yourself, then Makers Academy starts to go downhill because we don't make a fee anymore. But also, there's absolutely no way that we're going to go back. It would be amazing if you all got a job through Makers Academy. That'd be incredible. So there will be content, particularly on the Thursday, which will be me giving you stuff to help you go and get a job by yourself. I don't want you to think that you getting a job by yourself is any slight on Makers Academy. We are here to help you get a job. If that means you do it by yourself, that's awesome. As long as you're getting a job that you love and you think is great, and
you're really happy to get, then that's what we want. There is a slight conflict there, I know, and you will hear it over and over again, but the idea is, I just want you guys to understand, number one on our list is you getting a job that you love, number two is us making money out of that. So, that's hiring week in general. Oh, loads of time. Questions about hiring week? Okay.
How do we get access to the post-graduation course?
It's Makers Academy, just GitHub Makers Academy / postals. It's not because I haven't had you, that's why.
Thank you. Any other questions while I do this? Just ask them, don't put your hand up. I'm not looking. And I'm not getting this either. What is it? Oh, that's even worse. I didn't want to do that. Seriously, no other questions? Just ask, don't put your hand up.
Have you ever helped a student find a job in another country?
Yes, it's difficult. Singapore, Germany, and the United States, I think.
What makes it difficult?
What makes it difficult is the fact that in order to contact companies, even outside London, let alone outside the UK, we need enough students who are interested in that particular area. Because if I go to a company in Berlin and say, oh, hey, we've got these people, oh, wow, and they go, yeah, send me some application. I'm like, well, actually, there's only one guy who's interested. It's a kind of a supply and demand issue. But we will definitely do our best to help you.
Most of the jobs that people get out of Makers in East London or all over London?
All over London. So, I mean, central London, East London is mainly, but yeah, all over. And yeah, your location will be something that we take into account. Traveling time, all that sort of stuff. So usually during this week, I would do one-to-ones, but because I changed things around a bit, I kind of forgot to do that. So next week will be your one-to-ones, where I will sit down with you and we will go through all of the detail about what you want, why you want it, where you came from. One of the quickest ways, oh no, not February 2013, that's a bad idea. You should be able to access the post course now. The stuff that you're about to do now, the career story, that will be a real help for me as well as for you in terms of how we talk to people, collectively together, how we talk to potential employers. But also you'll get the things like, how much money are you looking for, where are you happy to work, all those sorts of things. We'll cover that individually. Yeah.
Reasonable salary expectations.
Mean average historically of jobs that people get through Makers Academy. And there is a certain amount of that data is mixed in with people who've got jobs by themselves, is about £31,000. However, you may be speaking to a company where you say, my salary expectation is £31,000, and they will like spit snot out of their nose as they laugh. And you will be asking, you'll be speaking to a company, you say, I have £31,000, and they'll go, so cheap. So anything and all over the place. So yeah, basically 25 to 35 is a reasonable expectation. So for example, and this is a single example, compare the market, their junior software development band is 24 to 31.5, and we would be very surprised if anyone was in the mid to low 20s as an offer, because you're better than a graduate, you're not quite as good as an experienced junior. That's how people understand Makers grads. I think they're mistaken in that, but we can have that conversation another time.
As someone who's never really had any experience using LinkedIn, how important is that? And also, will there be any help using it, or is it pretty self-explanatory?
If you want specific help on specific tech, then we'll do that on the Wednesday workshops. So people have asked for like how do I get a job through Twitter and stuff like that. I will not talk about LinkedIn because I actually think it's a dreadful way for a developer to get a job. That's why we use GitHub. That's why we make GitHub CVs. Now, there are some limitations to GitHub CVs, which we'll come to in a minute. But overall, a GitHub CV is a good base. If you think about it from, okay, let's say I'm an employer, I'm thinking about interviewing you. I might have been introduced to you on LinkedIn, that might be my first interaction with you, but the first thing I'm going to do after that is go and look at your GitHub. There's nowhere else in the world I'm going to go. So I prioritize the GitHub stuff. But again, yeah, any specific tech, we'll do an individual section on it. Yeah.
How in average does it take you to get a job? Like, when do we start to get worried if we don't have anything?
When you start running out of money? Yeah, I think it's a really difficult question to ask with any kind of certainty or concreteness, but it's about 6 to 12 weeks. I believe when you were brought on board, there was an amount of time after the course that you were told to have enough money to keep for. I don't remember what that number is, but it's, that number is taken from the average amount of time it takes someone to get a job. But yeah, about 90% of you should have a job within 6 weeks. Although those numbers have been skewed recently. The last 6 weeks or so has been, so Christmas and Easter are really quiet periods for hiring. So Christmas because everyone goes away, and Easter because it's the end of the financial year and everyone goes away. So you're now at the beginning of the uptick, but that also means that our backlog of people who haven't got jobs is about 35, 40 people, when we usually have no more than 20 people looking for work. So not only has this become a period where there is only one person on the careers team, there are also going to be roughly 3 times as many people looking for a job as usual. So you're in a difficult situation, unfortunately, at the moment. That being said, there are probably 12 well-paid jobs available through Makers Academy right now. And if any of the stuff that I'm doing with the engineering team goes well over the next few weeks, that'll start going up massively. My aim is to automate most of what happens inside the building so that I can spend more time outside the building, bringing more jobs in. And what I want, my metric of success is if somebody asks me how many people do you have looking for work at the moment, I say, no, don't have any. You can't have any. They've all been hired. Sorry. That would be ideal, rather than 55. Any last questions? Yeah.
How does the matching work? You said there's a backlog from the last cohort. Are we in line when?
No, there's no priority.
How do we match the job? Do we go to you, or is it a board that we go yell at?
I'll cover that more on Thursday, but essentially it's slightly different with all employers. I am trying to formalize it more so that it's you talking directly to an employer, because at the moment, quite a lot of it is you going through me, which means that I don't have enough time. There's no way I can manage 20 employers and 55 candidates. So we will be moving more and more and more towards you directly engaging with them with our guidance about how to engage with them, rather than me doing it for you. But essentially, it's either company comes to us and says, I'm looking for this really specific thing. And I go, yeah, we have 2 people who are that specific thing. And then I'll contact you directly and say, hey, you're a perfect match for X job. Those we call closed roles. Then there are open roles, which is like, hey, this company's looking for this sort of thing. Who's interested? And then you'll say, I'm interested. You'll go in a private Slack group. That's where we chat. And then I'll send you all off in a bunch of applications, and then try and manage the feedback. I want to avoid doing that in the future, because it's a massive time sap for everybody. And it also means that you're asking me, have you heard from them? And I'm asking them, please can you get back to me? And I'm asking you, please can you get back to me? And it's just silly, you guys should be talking to each other. Anyway, that's what's going to happen. Any last questions about hiring week specifically? Awesome. My last comment on hiring week is this: go home and get some sleep bit at the bottom. major feedback from last time round was, I'm so tired after final projects, and you give me all this stuff to do. Just leave me alone. I don't want to do a tech test. By the way, who's ever done a tech test before? All of you are wrong. You've been doing tech tests every Friday. That's a tech test. You've done loads. You're really good at them. You know how to do them. We don't need to tell you how to do them. We're going to give you some help, but there's a reason why you do that thing every Friday. When you suddenly and weirdly do something by yourself, why would you do coding by yourself? How ridiculous. It's because you have to do it during interview. So to go home and get some sleep, I mean it, switch off. 6 p.m. every day, switch off. Computer away, no more code, no more CV, no more anything. Try and get a picture of my beardy face out of your mind. Don't go and do drinking, really. I mean, just don't go and get wasted, because all you'll do is just make yourself more tired. Do go and have lots of sex, like smiling, chatting, having fun, relaxing, enjoying yourself, and then come back 10 o'clock the next morning. It's not early. I know, because I'm not an early bird. And we'll do more awesome, chatty, stuffy, getting on with things. Not a big deal. On Wednesday, we'll give you a tech test, and then you might end up pushing a little bit into the evening, doing some code. But it's not due until the Friday of the week after, which is a long time for a tech test. Right. I'm recording this, and I've given it a title, and I don't want to stop recording it and then start recording a new thing. I'm just going to carry on, because I'm reckless like that. Here we go. Okay. Can anybody tell me why on earth you would want to tell a career story? Branding. Yeah. Good. So from the point of view of communicating that story to other people, potentially employers. Yeah.
We've got other skills and
So yeah, kind of getting an understanding of what you have to offer. Like what's the package that you're selling to an employer? Anything else?
People are going to want to know what kind of brought you into coding in the first place, kind of similar to theory.
Definitely, except that's now sort of repeating what's been said before in terms of the broadcast element of it. There are two sides to telling a career story. One is the fact that you can tell it to people, but actually probably more importantly, it's that you can tell it to yourself. Stories are incredibly powerful at selling, at persuading, at moving people. In fact, they're probably more powerful than anything else. I could tell you a story about how they're persuading, and it would be more persuading than me telling you they're persuading. But they're not the only person that needs persuading, you do. One of the things that you will find over the next few weeks is that looking for a job, especially a job in an industry you know nothing about or very little about, is horrible. And this story about why you're here and why you're doing this and where you're going, the path that you're on, will be very important in terms of continuing to tell it to yourself, to keep you buoyed up, to keep you understanding why you're doing this, where you're going. And then the better you get at telling that story, the more it becomes true. And I'll tell you a story about this. So a few years ago, I had finally finished university, aged 27. And I went out into the big wide world with a first-class degree, and I'd never got a good qualification before. And suddenly I had this kind of like validation about the fact that I was good at stuff. Most importantly, it was the fact that I knew that hard work and good results were things that went together, which I'd never known before. And I went out into the world and I thought, oh my God, look at all these amazing things I can do. Wow, there's this and there's that and there's this and there's that. And for 9 months, I just didn't even get like a snifter of a job from anybody, because I was applying for like 5 different industries all over the place, blah, blah, blah. Then I went traveling, and you know how it goes when you're traveling. And then you come back and it was like, oh, I've got this laser focus. I want to do business development in startups. And within a month, I had 3 job offers. That laser focus meant that I had to start understanding why I wanted that thing. what was quite interesting, that once I'd arrived, I then learned from the guy that I was working for that your story is very important when you're talking to other people. But it actually gives you so much validation for what you're doing. Because up until that point, I'd been, oh, I'm the eclectic guy. I do this and this and this and this. I worked in a casino, then I did a philosophy degree. Gosh, they match really well together. The problem was nobody could understand what I was or where I came from or why you're at this and at that. What box do I put you in? People want to put you in a box. So what I did is I looked back over the course of my life. And I looked at the things for every step that had brought me to that point and everything that points to where I was going next. And I turned it into a narrative. And I said, you know, from this point, at that point I was working in startups and everything. It's like, from this point, I realized this, I achieved this, I did this, I learned this. Then I did this, then I moved on to that, and I did this. And it was all about how every single part of my life that I was talking about led to the point that I was at. Which means people have confidence in the fact that you're there and they have confidence in where you're going. Really weird thing, that they did this with Facebook ads. They discovered that people are more likely to be interested and excited about potential than reality. So if you say, the greatest comedian in the world, people are less likely to click on that than the next best comedian in the world. People are more likely to go, oh, the new thing, I'm interested in the new thing, the potential, the new thing. And you can create this by looking back over what you've done, pulling out some salient points. These are the salient points. And also looking at where you're going. Now, you will have thought a little bit about this when you decided to quit your job, pay £8,000, take 3 months off salary, enter an industry that you know nothing about, likely at a massive pay cut. You might have thought about some of this stuff before. But really, I mean it. I do actually go through relevant parts of your life, starting anywhere you like and going into as much detail as you like. You could say, well, I woke up on Monday morning and then describe the detail of the day about how you went from being an X something or other to being a Y something or other, and that was the significant bit that led you to where you are today. Or you could start, when I was 4 years old, I built a Badger out of electric wire. Wow, where did that come from? And that led me to where I am today. And a lot of the feedback that's come from this exercise is that people say, it's really interesting because I've never thought about myself as a developer. I've never thought about myself in this way. I've never thought about me in terms of these skills, this set of skills. So, before we actually get on and do it, I'm going to give you some more stuff about stories. So these are Disney storytelling rules. Who knows the Disney storytelling rules? No one. Oh, great. Look them up. They're good. They're good for Disney, anyway. There is a wonderful woman. Oh, damn, her name immediately escapes me. She works at FutureLearn, and she goes around the world giving talks about Disney-driven development, which is fantastic. Anyway, so putting it on paper lets you start fixing it. Do you know what? This is familiar, isn't it? This idea of building something, just writing it down and then seeing what's wrong with it and then fixing it and iterating over it. You're used to this. Do it with your career story. Build an MVP career story. And then iterate over it. Tell it to people. Get people's reactions. Work on it. Keep working on it. Never stop telling your career story because, as I mentioned, it's useful for you and it's useful for them. Yeah, share it with lots of people. This is the Disney storytelling template. By all means, use this. And this is another thing about telling your story and other things. Telling your story, writing cover letters, basically any kind of prose that you're writing for jobs, write it in 4 different directions. Write the really arrogant version and the really humble version, and the one that you really talk about yourself and the one that you really talk about them. And then find all the best bits from all of that. So write your story where it's all about how fantastic you are, or write it all about how I've always been this, and I don't really know. No. Now I'm in this space of exploration. And see, you know, there are bits out that you can take from both of those. Once upon a time there was you, whatever it was that you were before. Every day you did that job maybe, or you did something else, or every day you wished you were a coder, something like that. One day, changed your mind, you gave Makers Academy $8,000. Idiots. Because of that, so you can do quite a lot of because of that, because that's where you go through the steps that you go through. Because of that RSpec, because of that final project, until finally I thought, hang on, I learned something in that first week. What the hell was that? Which, by the way, you will start doing. You'll start going back over all of your stuff and going, hang on, I don't remember any of this. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Everyone goes through that. It's absolutely fine. No one knows what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go along. I know it looks like that. It's true. I do actually make it up as I go along. And you will too. And you will for the rest of your life. Especially as a developer. You will have no idea what's going on. That's cool. That's fine. Be comfortable with uncomfortable. This is a nice structure. Yeah. So this is again on the iterating point. Is write it. Just put it all down, and then read it and go, wow, that's all over the place. I've gone like this. And it needs to be like that. It needs to be simple, understandable, clear, so that people go, oh, I got it. I put you in a box. I got it. I know what you're doing. Yeah. So this stuff is kind of all over the place. Then rewrite it, and rewrite it so it has a line, a theme, a narrative is what they call it. Right, your turn. There you go. You have until, can anyone remember when we break? Awesome. You all checked what time we break before we started. Yeah, so we break at 11, back at 11:20. So now, write your story. Do it now. Get your computer out or notepad or whatever and write your story. And by writing your story, I mean go through the moments in your life that led you to this point and write down why did you do it, what did you achieve, what did you realize, why did you stop. That's a really, really simple way of building the scaffold. And I will see you at 11:20.